Arrest warrant issued for impeached South Korea President Yoon. A Seoul court has issued an arrest warrant against South Korea's suspended President Yoon Suk-yeol over his attempt to impose martial law on 3 December. The warrant comes after Yoon, who is facing several investigations on insurrection and treason charges, ignored 3 summonses to appear for questioning over the past 2 weeks. On Sunday night, investigators sought an arrest warrant for Yoon on charges of insurrection and abuse of power, a move that his lawyer described as illegal. South Korea has been in political crisis since the short-lived martial law declaration, with Yoon and a successor both impeached by parliament. Yoon is South Korea's first sitting president to face an arrest. Investigators have until January 6 to execute the warrant and can request for an extension. It is unclear, however, if investigators will be able to execute the warrant, as they may be thwarted by his security team and protesters. The Presidential Security Service had earlier blocked investigators from entering the presidential office grounds and Yoon's private residence to conduct court-approved searches that in the past. South Korean authorities have given up arrest attempts against prominent politicians after their aides and supporters have physically blocked the police. But on Monday, Yoon's legal team said that investigators had no authority to arrest him, as declaring martial law was within the president's constitutional authority. Yoon had earlier defended his decision to declare martial law and vowed to fight to the end, though he also said that he would not avoid his legal and political responsibilities. His lawyer, Yoon Gapgun, said that Yoon's failure to comply with the earlier 3 summonses was due to legitimate concerns that Yoon's whereabouts are not publicly known, but he has been banned from leaving the country, while he has been suspended from presidential duties since December 14th after lawmakers voted to impeach him. He can only be removed from office if his impeachment is sustained by the country's constitutional court. There are currently only 6 judges on the constitutional court's 9-member bench. This means a single rejection would save Yoon from being removed. Opposition lawmakers had hoped the nomination of 3 additional judges would improve the odds of Yoon getting impeached, but their proposal was vetoed by Prime Minister Han Duck-soo last week. The opposition has since then voted to impeach Han, who had stepped in as acting leader after Yoon was suspended. Now, they are threatening to do the same to Finance Minister Choi Sang-mok, who currently serves as both acting president and acting prime minister. Pre-flight checks found no issues before South Korea Air crash. A pre-flight inspection of a Jeju Air passenger plane hours before it crashed in South Korea, killing 179 people, found no issues, the airline has said. Nothing abnormal was noted with the landing gear, the airline CEO Kim Lee told a news conference in Seoul, as investigations continue into why the wheels were not down when it performed an emergency landing. The plane was traveling from Bangkok when it crash-landed at Muin International Airport on Sunday, bursting into flames and killing everyone on board, save for 2 crew members, after skidding into a wall. Investigators are still working to identify victims and establish what caused South Korea's deadliest ever air crash. Many questions remain unanswered, and investigators are looking at the role a bird strike or weather conditions may have played. They are also focusing on why the Boeing 737-800 did not have its landing gear down when it hit the runway shortly after 9 o'clock local time, midnight GMT, on Sunday. Hundreds of grieving relatives have been camping out at the airport in Muin, furious that they have not yet seen the bodies of their loved ones, that so far, just a few of the victims' remains have been released to their families. On Tuesday, 4 were transported to funeral homes, but most other families are still waiting for their loved ones to be identified. Addressing questions over the company's safety procedures on Tuesday, Jeju Air's CEO Kim Lee said the plane would not have been cleared for takeoff if the maintenance team had not signed off on its safety. He said its pilots were trained to regulation standards, and the company had 2 full flight simulators. We have 12.9 maintenance workers per airplane, which has increased from 12 in 2019, he said. We have a strict maintenance checklist. It is not possible to miss things. If something was missed, it would be a grave problem. As for whether the landing gear functioned properly, that is directly related to the accident investigation, and we are not in a position to know at this time. Mr. Kim said the airline would reduce its air traffic this winter by 10 to 15%, in order to be able to carry out more maintenance work on the planes, but said this was not an admission that the company was running too many planes. He added that they would increase their monitoring of weather before and after flights. Kim also acknowledged that over the past 5 years, Jeju Air had paid the most fines and faced the most administrative action of any Korean airline, but said the company was consistently improving its safety record. He said he was committed to strengthening the company's safety and maintenance procedures, adding, "We aim to repair your trust in us by strengthening our safety measures." Mr. Kim said the airline was preparing emergency compensation for the victims' families and were covering the cost of the funerals. The money would be released soon, he said, before the insurance process is completed. He added that company employees are on site to provide psychological counseling to the families. The 179 passengers on Flight 7C-2216 were aged between 3 and 78 years old, although most were in their 40s, 50s, and 60s. According to Yonhap News Agency, 2 Thai nationals are among the dead, and the rest are believed to be South Korean. Authorities have said many relatives are frustrated with how long the process of identifying victims' bodies has taken, but officials say it is challenging because those on board were so severely burned in the fire after the crash. One man the BBC spoke to at the airport said his nephew and his nephew's 2 sons had been on a celebratory trip to Thailand to mark the end of the college entrance exams. All 3 died on the flight. "I can't believe the entire family has just disappeared," Meng Jiai-su, 78, told the BBC. "My heart aches so much." The runway at Muan International Airport is to stay closed for another week while forensic teams collect more of the remains and debris. Investigators began inspecting the plane's 2 black boxes, the cockpit voice recorder and the flight data recorder. On Tuesday, the second device is missing a critical connector, they say, which will make it more difficult to extract the data. This could prolong the search for answers as to why this plane was forced to land without its landing gear. Officials also said they are examining regulations around a concrete barrier which the plane smashed into when it skidded beyond the end of the runway, and we are not in a position to know at this time. Mr. Kim said the airline would reduce its air traffic this winter by 10 to 15%. In order to be able to carry out more maintenance work on the planes, but said this was not an admission that the company was running too many planes. He added that they would increase their monitoring of weather before and after flights. Kim also acknowledged that over the past 5 years, Jeju Air had paid the most fines and faced the most administrative action of any Korean airline, but said the company was consistently improving its safety record. He said he was committed to strengthening the company's safety and maintenance procedures, adding, "We aim to repair your trust in us by strengthening our safety measures." Mr. Kim said the airline was preparing emergency compensation for the victims' families and were covering the cost of the funerals. The money would be released soon,